from the 37th parallel on America's haunted highway, it's Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a very, very special episode of Pixelated Paranormal. It's our 7-year anniversary special. I am Sean. I am wearing toe socks. And with me, as always, is the Yankee from Olympus himself, Preston. Preston, buddy, how are you?
What's up, all you cool ghosts and goblins, you crococoons and crocodingos, you skeletors and skelelettes, your witchers and witches? It's your boy, Preston!
Oh, too much fun, too much fun. And of course, we can't do anniversaries, we can't do special episodes without the help of special guests. So joining us to help celebrate our 7th year of cruising down the old paranormal highway.
Joining us for the very first time.
Right. Why don't you uncover that screen, buddy, and reveal that beautiful face? With us.
Hello.
The backseat goblin himself.
Look at this. This is high tech shit. Live.
I know,
Live
right?
in the mix.
Fancy,
Yes,
fancy,
sir.
fancy. Big Steven back in the back seat, buddy. How are ya?
What's up, everybody? Just chilling. Overwhelmed with life, as always, like everybody else out there.
Mhm.
Looks like we got some people out there. It says John says he can't hear Sean. Sean's
Can't
volume is
hear-
about half of Preston.
Oh, weird. Okay, hold
Yeah.
on now.
Can't hear
Let's
Sean.
just
Turn up
test
volume.
this out. Let's see. Does that sound any better? If I get closer on the mic, does that sound any better? Oh, hold on. I wonder. Yeah, it should be.
This is
using my
live,
Yeti.
people.
I know, cripes. Audio. Yeah, it's using my Yeti.
Could it be something to do with the thing, Preston? Does it with OBS or something?
I hope not. Obs. Well, hold on a second here. Let's just check this out. Live TV, folks.
Says adjust your mic volume, Steven 2. Okay. Well,
Let's try that. Does that sound better? Let's try that. Does that sound better? Yeah, that sounds better on my end.
do I need to maybe turn up the gain? I don't want to turn up the gain on my mic because then that'll mess up the what's it called? So what did you have to do?
I just turned up the Yeti mic to about halfway.
But won't that bleed out the audio for our recording?
We hope not. Should be all right. Just don't get too excited and yell into it, and we should be good to go.
No, it's so it was on my end because I had the output volume in Discord
Told
turned
you, I
down.
knew it was.
Yeah, so
This
your
fucking
mic
guy.
your mic levels are fine. So my bad. So
Yeah, you've missed a lot, Steve. My brother is the executive producer who normally gives us a heads up when shit's not working.
yeah, where the fuck were you in the first 5 seconds, Kevin? Executive producer, bud.
Damn.
To be fair,
Okay,
I was on time. These cucks were not.
that's true. That's true.
So it could have
Well,
been all
yeah.
sorted.
Handful of folks out there watching. We just want to say hi to John and Lazarus and Kevin. Thanks for joining us, guys. Now, of course, Fire Pixie's on too, groovy. Now,
got some
this is
peeps.
our Ask Us Anything and listener story episode. It's going to be a lot of fun, as always. When we do these things, it's going to end up a two-parter, most definitely, because if you guys got a sneak peek already, we did a live stream with Lazarus Corbeau last week as kind of a bonus episode, and that thing was 40 minutes in itself. I'll cut the audio and put that, of course, into our normal podcast, but that's going to be a little bonus. We're going to stick that audio in part 2 of this special, but on this episode, we got at least 5 questions and I think 3 listener stories to chat about. But as you're
Woohoo.
watching live, if you want to throw us a question, just hit us up. So this will be exciting stuff. Yeah, hey, Steven, my brother does say he did say something. He was the first to say something.
That's
Or
awesome.
not, sorry, Steven Preston. Yeah, not you.
Good job, Kevin.
But yeah, this is a lot of fun, Steve. We've been doing these live streams, man, and we're so stoked you could join us. It's exciting times in the podcast world.
Hell yeah. Hopefully my ugly mug isn't breaking YouTube.
It's just
I'm a-
brightening the whole place up, baby. You just
Awesome.
shine.
And I'm gonna do my best out there for the YouTube to not mess with the algorithm by saying something that I shouldn't.
Yeah.
So
Well, like we usually do, Steve-O, let's start off with a little bit of news. How about
Cool.
this, folks? Arby's, they have the meat and they also have dead bodies in their freezers. A woman's body was found inside a walk-in freezer at an Arby's in New Iberia, Louisiana, back on the evening of Thursday, May 11th. The death was investigated, and it turns out to be a 63-year-old Texas woman who was also an employee. The Iberia Parish
Damn.
Coroner's Office identified the body as Noette Lee, 63 years old, but the initial investigation does not indicate there was foul play involved. The woman who died was an employee at Arby's in New Iberia, and her body was found by another employee, according to Arby's spokespeople. The situation like these is unusual, so we're taking extra precautions during the investigation. We pretty much have completed our process at the crime scene. After completely processing the crime scene, this doesn't seem to be a homicide. It just seems to be like an accident. After an autopsy was completed on Friday, the department will know the cause and manner of death. The woman's body... Oh, sorry. I threw in an update. So yeah, anyway. Yeah, they don't know what caused the death. But they say it was not a homicide, so I don't know. We also covered a story not too long ago
where meat is meat.
That's
Soylent
crazy.
Green is people.
When you guys worked at fast food, did you ever go into the walk-in freezer and worry about that?
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
worked in fast food, so
Oh,
When I-
look at you.
Look at
Fancy.
you, pretty boy.
Yeah, fancy
That
dancy.
explains a lot.
yeah.
This fucker. So the story of how I quit Burger King when I was like 16 involves the walk-in freezer. Long story short, my mom had an operation. They didn't stitch her up properly, so they had to go back to the doctor. My dad called me at the Burger King phone and said basically she's having emergency surgery to sew up the incision the doctor forgot to close. And I was opening, meaning I worked at like 4 a.m. until like noon. And I was just so sleep deprived. I walked into the walk-in freezer a couple times just to stand there and like let some cold air just try to wake me up. I fell asleep standing up, went to lunch. Shayla's like, "You should quit." And I said, "Yeah, I'll quit." And she says, "You're too scared." So I walked in one door, gave my name badge and my t-shirt to him, and walked out the other door, went straight to Pizza Hut, and then worked there for 5 years. But yeah,
Oh,
man, I've
man.
been in a walk-in freezer. They're supposed to be designed to where you can hit that little knob and punch it back open to get
Yeah.
out, to prevent this kind of stuff from happening. But
I wish there was
Where
more
was-
details into this because, like, that knob is there. What up, Leslie? She says she's spraying some sage 3 times in her honor. It's awesome.
very nice, very
John
nice.
says he
Oh.
worked at a Hardee's and walked in just as an employee was peeing in the. There's a pickle bucket. So
Huh, sounds familiar.
Oh man,
that's
So-
that's where that sour
Steve, it
flavor
took me a
comes
second,
from.
but I caught that.
Yeah. So I go into freezers quite a bit and coolers quite a bit, and sometimes those little pushers don't always work.
Mm-hmm.
So and they're supposed to be up to code, but we all know how people like to not fix shit, especially
cut a
greedy
few
corporations. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is very, very, very likely that it could possibly happen, but it also could be just a terrible accident. She could have slipped,
Yep.
stroked. I mean, anything. You know what I mean? Like it's terrible.
Or
But
Arby's is going into Soylent Green territory, and they, that's their
yeah,
their first
Beef and
new
cheddar is
roast beef
people.
sandwich. Yeah.
I'm thinking beyond the meat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. Man, we used to also lay down in the walk-in fridge at Pizza Hut on the very top shelf, and me and Devin would cover each other with bags of salad. and then you'd send somebody in to grab something and just jump out, throw salad
my
bags at them
God.
and scare the piss out of them. Well, one time I was laying up there on the top shelf and we were going to
And he
scare
got
somebody.
completely naked, and then Devin just opened up the salad and threw it over him, sprinkled it on him.
Yep, the old
And I got
popcorn
that
trick.
right there.
Yep, exactly. No, we did it during a lunch rush. I got up there, he buried me, and then somebody walked in the freezer, and I just go, "Bleh," and it happened to be the regional inspector. So that was fun.
Damn.
Luckily, they had a pretty good sense of humor, and they're just like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, normally we hide up here in the salad to scare people during a lunch rush." And he's like, "Well, that's awesome. Are your tables all taken care of?"
He didn't give a shit. He just wanted that work done.
We made money. We made stupid amounts of money there, man. Oh, it was good times. Well, up next in food news, folks, a carbohydrate conundrum that stumped a small town in New Jersey. Did you guys hear about the weird pile of spaghetti they found in a creek in New Jersey?
No.
Well,
What?
anyway, this story eventually made international headlines and thankfully has been solved. But let me tell you the whole story in case you didn't hear it. Residents say they now know who dumped hundreds of pounds of uncooked pasta next to a stream, and they also know why he did it. The spaghetti saga started late in April when a resident of Old Bridge, New Jersey, noticed what looked like huge mounds of pasta on the ground back in a wooded area near a creek where people were known to oftentimes dump unwanted furniture and construction materials. Well, the resident contacted Nina Jakarowicz, a politically active resident in the town, which then situated, blah, blah, blah. Wanting to see for herself, Janarowitz headed to the spot of the alleged pasta dumping. She snapped a few photos of the scene where she estimated roughly 300 to 500 pounds of ziti, spaghetti, and alphabet and elbow-shaped pasta were strewn about a 25-foot long area. And then she posted her photos on social media. The news spread quickly over social media, but the Old Bridge authorities, however, didn't think the situation was that funny. Quickly, they directed town employees to respond to the mess, and a police officer filed a report with the Public Works employees to dispose of the unwanted pasta properly. While the pasta looked as if it had been cooked, officials later determined it wasn't. Instead, it was more likely that the actual hardened pasta had softened during a few days of being outside in the rain. Kind of like when you put mashed potatoes on people's lawns.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, neighbors who lived near the dump site solved the pasta puzzle themselves. After analyzing footage captured by a home security camera, they determined it was actually a man who had been cleaning out his mother's home after she passed away. Neighbors say the man is a military veteran, and they were protecting his identity. They didn't want him to have to relive the trauma of his mother's passing, and his military service deserved anonymity.
Wow.
Jakarowicz, whose last name I've pronounced 3 times incorrectly, says that she didn't expect or intend for the photos to go viral. She just simply wanted to embarrass the township for not doing their job to clean up the pasta before it could turn soft.
When you're reading that, all I can envision is it's kind of a playoff of Pizza the Hut and Jabba the Hutt, but just this pasta massive mound of just slug worth.
It's the fucking Cavatappi cryptid, man. You know? You guys ever hear about the New Jersey Creek Cavatappi?
I think the more interesting thing about this whole story is the damn commitment to cook that much pasta.
Yeah.
That's
the commitment.
Intense.
That's pretty awesome, but the commitment was overshadowed by the original person who wrote this and the amount of fucking pasta puns they put in there. It took me longer to type my answers to some of these questions to cut out all the fucking puns. It was ridiculous, man.
That's funny.
Lazarus has a really good thought here. It's an apocalyptic sign from the flying spaghetti monster.
Very true.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
What's his name?
Well, the last news story comes from our buddy Adam. NASA will now be holding a public meeting at 10:30 a.m. EDT on Wednesday, May 31st, of its independent study team on categorizing and evaluating data of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP, aka UFOs. Call them what they are. The UAP.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. Let's. When did this start? When did this UAP bullshit start? Just call it UFO. Do you think that they started the UAP so they can get away from sound like a crazy bastard saying UFO?
I mean, when
I
did
think it
UFOs?
is.
Yes and no. I think the other part of it is too because when the Pentagon released their, findings where they're like, let's say, 10% of all UFOs are actual UFOs. The rest of
Mhm.
them are like maybe the Russians, the Chinese, the North Koreans. So we don't want to classify everything as a UFO.
Yeah.
So let's come up with new terminology.
Right.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon because we don't know what the fuck it is. Could be an alien, could be
Yeah.
us, could be the goddamn Russians. We don't know.
Mm.
Well, also, I think the thing of it is too, like, when did UFOs become part of the zeitgeist? Like, late 30s, early 40s. You started having like Gold Key comics roll out around the 50s or 60s,
Don't
and then
forget Ed Wood,
UFO is synonymous. Right,
Plan
but
9 from outer
UFO is
space.
synonymous with. That's a good one. UFOs are synonymous with little green men,
Mhm.
like Elliot back here behind me. The thing is, you can't be taken seriously in the Pentagon or anywhere else in the United Nations if you're coming to the microphone and saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're pretty sure we have UFOs that have entered our airspace," because
Oh, I know.
everyone's going to look
Every
at
time
you like,
Preston walks up the house, that's why they look at him the way they do. There goes that. There goes
right,
that crazy
right.
believer.
Yeah, we all know that Hillary Clinton's a lizard person.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you change the name and you can put a spin on it, it's not quite so batshit crazy when you're in, an official Pentagon meeting, or the United Nations when you say these are UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. At least it says, yes, we admit they're there. At least it says we acknowledge the existence. Now, like Preston said, less than 10% of these things are actually unidentified. We're talking about, flocks of
Somebody's
birds.
mowing at 9 o'clock at night, so I apologize to anyone out there hearing that.
Wow.
Welcome to the hood.
I'm come mow my yard.
Yeah, I just did mine yesterday. Anyways, sorry.
No, all good, all good. But the UAP Independent Study Team is a council of about 16 community experts across diverse areas on matters relevant to potential methods of study for UAPs. NASA commissioned the 9-month study to examine UAPs from a scientific perspective and create a roadmap for how to use the data and the tools of science to move our understanding of the UAP phenomenon forward. Right now, the limited high-quality observations of UAP make it impossible to draw a scientific conclusion from the data about the nature of such events. The agency will also host a media teleconference at the conclusion of the meeting. That full meeting will then air on NASA television, the NASA app, and the agency's website through 2:30 p.m. You can watch it online at www.nasa.gov/live. Now, in accordance to the Federal Advisory Committee Act, the meeting also plans to include an opportunity for the public to comment. NASA will be accepting questions beginning at 10 a.m. on Friday, May 12th, and then at 3 p.m., NASA will hold a virtual post-meeting media teleconference, which the agency will stream live audio on the website. To participate by telephone, the media must RSVP no later than 2 hours before the start of the event to Catherine Rohlhoff at catherine.a.rohlhoff@nasa.gov. Whew. And a clean feed of the meeting should then be available on the agency's YouTube channel.
We want that
So though,
we want
like in
that
the last couple,
raw feed.
yeah, in the last couple of years, like when NASA's had the raw feed up of like what's the James Webb Hubble telescope that they just got out,
Yeah.
and they'll be like showing stuff like in our solar system, and then people will spot like Death Star looking motherfuckers, and they're like, "Hey, what's that? Like, what's that star destroyer there?" And then all of a sudden, NASA will cut the feed, and then when they go back to re-upload it, it's like that part of the feed's cut out. So if like they're opening it up to the public for questions, and be like, "Dude, why the fuck you censoring your feed? Why do we got star destroyers in our solar system?"
Star destroyers.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's no moon.
that's no moon. Are those the Space Marines? Is that Donald Trump's Space Force right there? You guys got some
Yeah.
ships in orbit? Like, what's going on, dogs? We need the
Yeah.
411. Hook your boys up.
Right. Steve, you're not wrong, man. Recording during the daylight is wild. Some guy just drove by with bass that shook my microphone arm. Ah, good stuff. Well, anybody
Welcome
else
to the
got
hood.
some news before we kick the lid off of this thing? Anybody else got anything fun to share?
No.
I don't. Not that I know of.
Cool. All right. Well, let's kick it off with a icebreaker question, boys. Kind of loosen you up a little bit. This one comes from me. What's your guys' favorite current video game that has a theme of or features the paranormal or cryptids?
Ooh. Preston, you go first, bud, or do you want me to go first?
No, I'll go. I don't know. I don't have a
That's
current.
funny.
I don't think there's anything current out there that I could say that's like
Okay.
paranormal theme that I played. But was it last year, year before last on Games with Gold? They had the Call of Cthulhu, which was like a
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
right,
murder
yeah.
mystery,
So
and
underrated.
you had choices, and like like right off the bat, like you can have your guy drink the whiskey or not drink the whiskey, and I'm like, fuck it, that's how I roll. Drink
Of
the
course you
whiskey.
love it. Of
Yeah.
course.
And just the lore, like the language. So the more you go around the game and you decipher the glyphs, like that's gonna send you down a
You start to
darker
learn the
path.
Lovecraft
You
shit.
start, yeah, learn like the
Mhm.
Lovecraftian stuff, and I was like, dude, this game is fucking amazing. And Fallout 76 gets a lot of shit, and just the amount of cryptids in that game. Like you have Mothman, you have the Wendigo, you have the Flatwoods Monster. Like for somebody who's like a fucking cryptid nerd to play a video game that just throws that
Mhm.
shit in there, like I chub a little bit. I do.
Lazarus said we should check out the weird Lovecraft Crowley synchronicities. Well, buddy, we probably will because after this two-parter, we're jumping into Crowley. So I like to imagine we probably will jump
Ooh.
into that. And we got to give a special welcome to Agent Stack, all the way from the UK.
What up,
He
Matt?
says UAP, he's more concerned about ICUP. ICUP.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh, we're children. We're children. Well, Steve, let me go next real quick. Fallout
All right, bet.
76, man, that's the one I'm still, really just enthralled by because it features so many cryptids and the paranormal, dude. It's got a rich history with, the environment of West Virginia, and it perfectly sews in these awesome tales of Mothman, Goatman, Flatwoods Monster, the Grafton Monster, Wendigos, and even UFOs, man. So, I mean, that game is still my jam. I probably should open it back up now. It's been like 2 years. But what about
Sweet.
you? Oh, wise video game
Alrighty,
Sherlock.
righty. Well, I've got a link for you boys. First off, I'll go with something that's already out. Some I've been currently playing. As far as like paranormal stuff, I got a new game called Evil West that I haven't dived into yet, but that's supposed to be pretty cool about like vampires and like bounty hunting and shit. But I picked up Dead Island 2, and that game is all about zombies and outbreaks and
Nice,
shit.
yeah.
And it takes place in Venice Beach, LA, Hollywood,
Ooh.
the hills, all that shit. And it's very cool. Heavy melee focused. Some of the best gore and brutal mutilization you could ever see. Like you get different kinds of weapons. So you get like one that has like this like acid on it. So when you hit a zombie so many times, it'll get a buildup of damage, and then you'll just like see the actual flesh like off the bones. It's so graphic. It's cool.
Damn.
And so yeah, that game's awesome. The next one I'm going to put into the chat here in the YouTube, everybody can check out, is a game called They Are Here: Alien Abduction. And this
Oh,
game
shit, man.
is fucking crazy. I haven't played. Damn it! I just sit here and gave everybody the link, but for some reason it's not linkable. It's not clickable in the thing. So yeah, you'll have to do all that stuff. But yeah, if you go to the Steam page, you'll be able to see it, and it's a first-person horror story about a journalist who witnessed an alien abduction in the Grayswood farm. Explore the area armed with a flashlight, take photos of evidence of aliens' presence, and get to the bottom of the horrifying truth. Add to wish list. And the graphics are like, the kind of hyper-realistic type thing, and you get to go in like cornfield and see the whole like signs movement of them moving across the corn and shit, and then you get to link up the stars and stuff, and I don't know, it just looks really awesome. Doesn't it look
That's
cool?
fucking awesome. It looks rad, dude. Also on
Yeah.
that, the Gray Hill incident is about to release as well, which is another alien abduction
Yeah.
video game. And of course, Lazarus says nope, he's not playing anything where he gets abducted and probed. Steve, you'll have to listen to next week's episode or watch the live stream from a couple days ago. We interviewed Lazarus, who had a pretty interesting experience. I don't want to ruin it for next episode, but it was fucking wild. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
the Gray Hill incident is it comes out on June 9th. So yeah, it's coming out really soon. I don't know if it's coming to if it's coming to console or not, but yeah, anybody that doesn't know about this game either, this game is supposed to be pretty badass. I've heard from a couple people who've played it early that it's pretty badass, and I mean it's the 90s early US 90s in the US. The media talks about weather balloons, conspiracy theories, government is lying. You're like, dude, this game looks so fucking intense. Yeah, so check that out too. But yeah, sweet.
That's yeah.
Those games are hard as shit to play because I can't get through them because I'm too much of a wuss.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that though.
On to our listener questions. Mindy asks, okay, so I recently went to a haunted driving tour of Gettysburg using an app, and it was quite disappointing. And then the other day, I took a local haunted lantern tour of the capital of Delaware, and it was killer, including a story about the first murder by mail committed by Cornelia Botkin. So the question is,
wait, real quick. When she said Gettysburg, all I could think about was the Office episode.
Yeah, Honest Abe. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you're good. So Mindy's question is, of all the haunted tours you've been on, how would you rank them? What is your number one ghost tour of all time, and what makes them good versus bad, or sets the best apart from the rest?
I'll
Steven,
go first because mine's really easy.
Okay.
None. I've never paid for any of them. I've never paid for any of them just because, I mean, it's not really my bag. So the answers that I wrote down were the only place I've ever paid for one, and that was that place in Omaha, the Museum of Shadows. Was that what it's called?
Yeah.
And I didn't really have a good time there. Maybe it's because when they moved to the new place, it kind of felt all cramped or something, but it just looked cool. It was cool, and they had a lot of cool stuff there, but as far as like feeling anything, no. I would love to do this something like a haunted lantern tour. That sounds badass. Although, no. You're right. I did do that one in New Orleans, where we got to see Kathy Bates's character, Madam.
Oh, yeah.
LaRue or something like that.
Yeah. She played in the American Horror Story. Yeah.
Yeah, the Coven or whatever, where she was hiding killing those slaves and putting them in the walls or whatever. I got to go by that house and see a bunch of other places. That was probably the coolest one I did. But that was more because of the scenery, which I think would be with what she did with the capital of Delaware. I think that would be pretty legit. But anyway, so that's mine. I've also been to the Stanley Hotel, but I didn't pay for a ghost tour. But I was in that hotel that's supposedly haunted. So, but this type of stuff really isn't my bag. This is totally y'all's thing. You guys travel to shit like this, so I'm curious to hear your guys' comments.
Presto, you want to go next, buddy?
Madam Lalaurie. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with it, man.
I've been on so many different ghost tours. I would have to say the best one that I've been on was one that was free. And it was when the wife and I were on our honeymoon and we were down in New Orleans. My brother-in-law and his wife gave us a tour around town. Albert, if you're listening, thanks for the free ghost tour that we got that night and all the booze you fed me. It was amazing. We got to see like the House of the Rising Sun. There's a church there, or not a church, but a boys' school, and it's reported that you can see up in the balcony in the attic area where the steeples are. You can see this red light bouncing around, and that's where the vampire lord of New Orleans lives. And they've had dead bodies show up in the attic, fully drained of blood. At one point, it was like a nun's convent. We took a couple voodoo tours and other stuff in New Orleans, and they were actually really cheesy. So the fact that we got local history from somebody that's been living there for several years, and it was just a good time. And so,
That's
honestly, if you know anybody that's into the paranormal and they live in that area,
Mhm.
just go out, have fun, walk the sites, walk the streets, have a good time. Like that's honestly been the best one that we've been on.
Yeah.
And then when we were in San Antonio, we did the Sister Grimm's tour right outside of the hotel that we were staying at. And that one was really fun. It wasn't like too cheesy or anything. And we got to walk around, get to see the different sites. Got to, there's this story of this guy that he was on his way to San Antonio. He was at a watering hole. And somebody's like, "Hey man, you look a little weird." And he's like, "Fuck you, man," and like ripped off this guy's face and like chopped him up into little bits. And so they finally found the guy like two towns later. They drag him down to San Antonio, and they put him on trial. They go to hang him, and like when you're watching like in Hollywood, how it's like 50-50. So half of the time you see him put the bag over the person's face, and then the other time like they don't. So in real life, you have to put the bag over the face because it basically cinches up the rope so that the pressure doesn't like rip anything off. And like they ran out of bags or like they didn't have it, but they're like, "Dude, fuck this guy. Like he just ripped somebody to shreds. Just fucking hang him." And so they dropped the noose. And it
I hate when
basically
you run out of bags that are hanging.
Yeah. And
we have a new courthouse. High time we had a hanging.
Yeah. So it basically like half decapitated this guy. Like it tore half of his head off, so it's like hanging off to the side and like blood squirting out all over the place. So then after that they were kind of like, "I don't think we should hang anybody anymore. Like maybe we should go like electrocute instead. Like that seems more humane." And so it basically became like dilapidated. They didn't use it for anything. And then they're like, "Well, somebody registered it on the historic sites, so we have to do something with it." And so Holiday Inn's like, "Fuck it, let's make it a hotel." Well, they found the noose like in a closet, so they fucking put it on display. And then as they're doing these ghost tours, they're like, put two together, and this kid was like, "Oh my god, that's the rope," and the hotel got in trouble. So it was cool to go on that.
Oh no.
And to get that history. And then Myrtle's plantation, the history of that site's cool. The walking around the grounds, some of the paranormal events that happened were freaky, but the fucking tour guide was cheesy as shit. And I'm just like, "You're putting me in a foul mood." And some of the other ones I've been on,
Harsh in
like
my vibe, bro.
yeah, like the Crescent Hotel that we went to, like the tour guide was just so fucking cheese. Like just stop. Like you don't have to like take it up 10 notches to make me a believer. I'm already Fox Mulder over here. Like just give me the hard gross details. And then what's another one? I don't know. The Museum of Shadows was actually for me and Sean. I thought that was a pretty good experience, actually.
Yeah.
We had some weird
I
crap
think that
happen.
has to do with the company. I think it has to do with the company you keep when you do that too. Because like we were there having fun with like the first batch of like non-friend listeners outside of Dobbs. Like these were guys we didn't know. And so that was cool. And having a little bit of showmanship of like, "Oh shit, yeah, we're gonna do a demon sit room challenge, Preston." And Preston's
The
like,
way
"I'm not backing down."
the way
So
you
fuck
guys
yeah.
described the old building sounded a lot better than the new one. No offense to any Omaha people that are listening. I know we got a lot of listeners there. That place is awesome. They got a lot of cool artifacts.
Sure.
I'd highly recommend checking it out. It's just that there was no activity for me, so to speak, where you guys talked about stuff. So
Yeah, that was a cool thing too. Supposedly the last building was like a bordello, so that was pretty wild.
It was a whorehouse where you go get your whore.
Well, yeah. So that was kind of interesting, so people were killed there and so on and so forth. So supposedly, we just lost Steve. Well, hopefully
he's
he'll
gonna
be
go
back.
get himself a whore. He heard whorehouse and he went running.
No.
I got DC'd. Sorry, I don't know what just happened.
Oh man, you got doxed,
Maybe your
son.
neighbor that's mowing at like 9:00 at night fucking hit the line because he can't see shit. Took out the internet.
Flipped your Cox cord, man.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that, and I mean, like, we had Rob Bones there, which was just that made the night itself just fucking awesome. Just to see us taking everything like real serious and quiet, and then you just see this man who's built like a fucking refrigerator flying down the hallway, just come at me, ghosts. That shit was
Yeah,
fun.
that was pretty
Fucking
funny
Jersey
listening to you guys
Shore
talk about that.
motherfuckers. Tear your shit up, brother.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. Oh
But
yeah, I talked to Rob the other day. He really fucked up his hand. His
yeah,
girlfriend's cat fucked up his hand. Anyhoozle, I think what makes or breaks a good tour to me, like Presto just said, number one is going to be your tour guide. When Shayla and I went to the Crescent, we had a really great tour because it was late at night. It was just she and I and like these other three people. It was like a guy and his wife and like somebody's sister, and they were all in their 70s. And the girl starts the whole like, well, welcome here to the Crescent Hotel, rumored to be haunted. And then she kind of stops herself and she's like, all right, guys, like, do I have to do this? I'll make a deal. If I don't have to do this like whole bit thing with you guys, I'll give you like the real tour, like the off the records tour. And we're just like, shit, yeah. So that was
that's
cool
what she
because
tells
like
everybody.
I know. Right, right. But that was cool. I felt like it was a more
It
genuine
was
tour. And if it was all
1777 and some people came around the corner and a little girl fell down the street. Oh, it's haunted, y'all.
Wow.
yes, it's worth every penny, Preston. But that was a lot of fun. I think the people you're with really dictates, what makes a good tour. But also, we went to San Francisco back in August of 2018 and took a tour of the former People's Church, which was, of course, headquarters to Reverend Jim Jones and the People's Temple. And that would go on to be related, of course, to the 1978 Jonestown Massacre. And,
Wow.
900 people who were members died overseas in South America. And, of course, it rocked San Francisco and the world and so on and so forth. But that was kind of cool to do that kind of history thing. I'm not a big history buff, but I love to know the history of, a haunted location or stuff like that. But
Yeah,
it was
that
really
stuff
cool
interests me
because
more.
yeah. But on that tour, we heard a really strange story of this ghost that haunted this apartment building. And apparently the apparition was known to occasionally burst through the wall and vomit live kittens on unsuspecting victims. Like fucking gremlins. She would walk in there and start like herking and then just puke up like live kittens that were, little baby kittens covered in like ectoplasm goo. For the life of me, I can't figure out like what the ghost story was. I've Googled it 100 times. You get weird results when you type in vomit covered kitten ghost. Don't do it, folks. But I think what makes a great tour is just the story and the validation, of course, but the tour guide, man. If you're too dry, I'm going to be falling asleep. And if you're too cheesy, I'm going to roll my eyes right out of my head and I'll be fucking haunting wherever we're touring to because it'll kill me.
Yeah.
Well, up next, Brady asks the hard-hitting question, how much wood could a woodchuck ghost chuck if a woodchuck ghost could chuck wood? I'll chime in. So back in 1988, Richard Thomas, a New York fish and wildlife technician, decided to estimate how much wood a woodchuck might chuck if it indeed could chuck wood. Woodchuck burrows have long been tunnels that are 25 to 30 feet long, which lead to, their summer dens, a winter den for hibernating, and so on and so forth. Even a shitter, they make offshoot tunnels where they go take dumps and pee-pees. Well, Thomas calculated that the average woodchuck can burrow approximately 35 square feet. So using the dirt that woodchucks remove when building their burrows, aka chucking wood, Thomas multiplied the burrow's square footage by approximate weight of the soil. About 20 pounds per square foot was the answer. So to calculate everything and answer Brady's question, a ghost woodchuck could probably chuck about as much chuck as a woodchuck could chuck, which is about 700 pounds of soil when making a burrow. So tip my hat and fuck you to Brady.
Nice.
So it reminds me of a thing we came across this afternoon. So if a ghost woodchuck has one pile or 3 piles of sand, and another ghost woodchuck has 6 piles of sand, how many piles of sand do you got? You got one. So the answer is one fucking woodchuck could chuck one thing of wood, ghost or non-ghost, man. It's just one chuck.
Yeah. Must
One
be,
little-
man. Must be. Well, how about we move on to our first listener story? Hey, folks.
Nice. Let's hear it.
So, Anonymous sent this in. Haunted computer printer question mark? So back when I was a kid, like grade school age, my family and I lived in this old two-story house. I remember one night I was upstairs watching TV with my parents, but my three sisters were all downstairs playing in our family room in the basement. We had a TV down there and also the family computer and a printer set up down there too. All of a sudden, my parents and I all three heard my sisters start screaming. So, of course, my dad ran down the stairs to see if they were all okay.
What's going on?
Right. They said that while they were playing board games and watching TV, they started hearing these weird noises. Then all of a sudden, the printer started making more weird noises, and then they said it started sucking down paper and shooting out blank pages all across the room like rapid fire.
Like a Ghostbusters skit.
The computer was turned off, so nothing was being printed, but the printer just switched on and started spazzing out. So my dad ran over and unplugged it, and then everything went quiet. Very
Well,
much like Ghostbusters, Steve.
Could you imagine if like it printed something out?
That'd be
That would be
fucking cool.
amazing. It
Max.
was just like fuck you over and over again. Or no, it was like the dot matrix print of you're fired from Back to the Future 2. You're fired.
In S-DOS, you
Yeah.
get out now.
Or like the episode we covered on the Dawdleson message where it's like, this is 9, the cat pees and the talk ticks.
Right?
Honestly, I mean, it sounds like a printer just went awry, shorted
That's
out.
what I'm thinking, man. Yeah.
But it could be a
have
ghost
been.
in the machine, man. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be, dude. I hope it is.
Gotta
I hope it's the
believe.
ghost. I hope it's the ghost of Hewitt Packard. Question number 3. This comes from our buddy Jeremy over at Global Strangeness. Why does Bigfoot porn exist?
I got this.
Oh, all right,
Jeremy,
Preston, you start it.
even Bigfoot needs to get his dick wet, and that's why it exists.
Boom. Case
This is
closed.
literally what I wrote on my questions answers. Why does this question have to happen here? And why does Bigfoot porn exist? Because Preston has way too much fucking free time on his hands.
Yeah, and in his hands, if you know what I'm saying.
yeah, no shit.
Oh man. So
Bigfoot coming out of the woods with his big old man stick and wanting a piece of my blueberry pie.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So my short answer is it takes all sorts of interesting things to get people off to the races, if you know what I'm saying. And here at Pixelated Paranormal, we aren't going to yuck on anybody else's yum. You know, for the most part, there are exceptions out there. But do you guys remember that old story from back in 2018 where the Democratic congressional nominee from Virginia, one Leslie Cockburn, accused her Republican opponent Denver Riggleman of campaigning with white supremacists, but also being the author of Bigfoot erotica? You guys remember that shit?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well,
First
here
off,
at Pixelated,
I remember I said at that time on that podcast episode,
yeah,
that is a terrible fucking name for a politician. Don't
Yeah.
go into politics if you have a terrible name. Cockburn?
right.
It
Yeah.
writes itself.
But I'd say this. I would retort this, that she came out dick swinging, dude, because with a last name like that, you got to have thick dick skin.
That's
And
true.
I mean, just the balls on that woman.
That's true.
Well, on the
Two
show, we of
sides to the
course
coin, Two-Face.
right. Well, we've read our share of Bigfoot erotica on our late night episodes, but apparently Bigfoot smut isn't anything new. Back in 1977, there was an infamous erotic paperback called Nights with Sasquatch, described as, quote, an explosive ordeal of rape and revenge.
Look
by
at Preston.
John?
He's trying to reach for his phone. Look it up on eBay. Look at
Well, I
him.
have this. I got a hardback copy.
You do? Holy shit.
No, I wish.
Okay.
It's worth a Google. I mean,
What's
you know,
this?
it's worth a Google.
Boom.
It was written by John Cotter and Judith Frankel, and apparently back in 1981 there was also a short porn film called The Geek about a group of hitchhikers who have an unexpected and sexy encounter with a Bigfoot. And of course, we are no strangers to the wonderfully bizarre world of Chuck Tingle books here on the show. But there's also a 16 installment series called Come for Bigfoot by Virginia Wade. So, Preston, you need to get bigger bookshelves, pal. And because we know sometimes, of course, old Sasquatch swings both ways and Bigfoot smut isn't just for the ladies and Preston and I to read and make Steven feel really embarrassed, there's also a handful of books by the adorably named Ann L. Probe called Boffing Bigfoot, Candy Banger, and simply another known as Bigfoot's Gay. And Robin Blackbird, of course, wrote, Bigfoot did me from behind, and I liked it. So,
Oh my god.
I didn't answer your question, Jeremy, but I hope you left today's episode just knowing a little bit more than you did before.
Oh my god. Did you see what Lazarus said?
No, I didn't.
Totally getting that for my wife for Christmas.
Dude, you really should. If nothing
You
else, it
should.
makes for
And
a really
then
great
you should make
podcast
your own
fodder.
wrapping paper of a naked Bigfoot. Just like hairy everywhere but the downstairs mix up.
Oh, God. Right. No doubt. No doubt. That reminds me, we need another late summer.
No, we
sexy-
don't. No, we don't. No.
What we should do is have Corey join us and have him partake
Yeah.
and not tell him what it's about.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
would-
yeah.
we'll
Yeah,
do
that'd
that.
be funny.
Yep. Steven's back in the game, folks.
I would
Well,
actually be down for that just to catch him off guard because he would be
Yep.
extremely awkward in that. That'd be perfect.
And it would be worth every
What if he's
person who
watching right now?
unsubscribes.
He's not.
Well, how about a palate cleanser, huh?
Let's go for it.
Again, from another anonymous listener, The Squatting Goblin. This is not erotica, just a quick disclaimer.
Squirting goblin.
experience-
Oh, squatting goblin. Okay.
So I experienced something really scary when I was like 7 or 8. I was up in my room late at night, like 10 or 11 at night, and I was having a hard time falling asleep. I was laying in bed trying to fall asleep, and I started hearing this weird scratching and breathing noises from the foot of my bed. And across from me on my dresser was my dresser with an old box TV sitting on it, but nothing else is on the dresser, like no clothes or anything. I laid there scared with the blankets pulled up to my chin, and I finally got the courage to look up at my TV. Sitting next to the TV on the dresser was this ugly little goblin, like sitting on its little butt with its knees pulled up to its chest, just sitting there, breathing and laughing these little gurgling laughs, and just staring at me.
Creep.
I screamed for my mom to come get me. Help me, Mom, help me, Mommy. He's watching me. So my mom comes running into my room and busts inside the room, and I'm screaming and pointing for her to get it, get it, get it. But my mom couldn't see it. Like it was there looking at me, but she couldn't see it at all. She turned on the lights, and it disappeared in the light. So I started crying her and telling her it was right there. My mom told me that if I was quiet, I didn't wake Dad up because my dad worked early in the mornings at the airplane place, that I could come sleep with them. So she turned the lights off and told me to come with her. And when the lights went out, that fucking goblin was sitting there gurgling and laughing at me. I screamed again. Mom turned the lights on, and the stupid thing disappeared again. My mom came over and calmed me down, and I stopped crying, and she told me to get out of bed and come with her. So I got up out of bed and started walking over to her when she turned the lights off before I passed my dresser. I looked up, and that stupid thing was right back on the dresser, and so I ran past it. But when I ran by, it reached down, and it ran its fingers through my hair. I could feel its little fingernails scrape the skin under my hair.
Did you condition?
I screamed and ran all the way back to my parents' room, of course, waking up my dad. I was terrified to go back to my room, but I never saw it again after that night.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's going to be a big fucking no from me.
Right. Not only a no, but that's what we call a butt fuck no. Not only
Yeah.
no, but fuck no.
Just not only for all that to happen, but then the same thing as with aliens, man. If you get abducted, like no one's gonna believe you. She was right in the room, didn't see shit, and he's terrified. He or she's terrified. Like it's just crazy.
Lazarus said squatting goblin, the queefing pixie, the twerking boo hag.
Oh my gosh.
Man, years ago, our founding member Rob told us a story about a fucking boo hag sitting on his chest. He woke up from a nightmare and woke up with this thing sitting on his chest with like a little knife, and he claims it kind of ran its blade down his chest and
He described that
finally
like
jumped off.
Like what's that? Like Squirtle? It was or Tomby. It was like a turtle entity.
Squirtle from Pokemon?
Oh God, no! The ones from the little goblins from Africa, right?
I mean, something like, but he was like, it
Maybe
remind
not.
me of a
Okay.
Toomby. And then,
Well,
it, like,
maybe
Goomba?
Toomba.
I don't know. You know, if
The
Rob,
PlayStation 1 game?
Yeah, right.
if Rob was a true Pixel Paranormal diehard fan, he'd be listening right now and he'd comment in. But you know, he's probably
Rob's
too busy
probably at work right now doing his job.
you know, like
What
what is
robot
it?
porn?
What? Yeah. What do we? No, we made fun of him for like, cause he's like that one episode.
Blob.
He's like, I fucking
Blob.
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 I get it on
Yeah,
blob.
I remember that shit. I fuck a blob.
I like it viscous,
It's,
not runny.
Like one of the it's like Jay and Jay and Silent Bob. It's like I want to fuck an alien. Be like, yo, that homeboy fucked a Martian.
Well, to finish the story real quick, Rob said eventually the thing jumped off his chest, kind of walked across the room, and then like stepped through kind of like this portal, bent down and grabbed what looked like a zipper and kind of like zipped up the fabric of reality and just fucking disappeared. So
Sounds like a video game
I know, right?
or like a Pixar cartoon. Okay, see you later. Whoop.
Whoop.
Zzz.
Well, question number 4. Allie wants to know, how do haunted objects become haunted? Presto,
I
you
got
want to
this.
lead with this one, bud?
Yeah.
Okay. More
So
than 3
I-
words this time.
Yeah. So I think what it is, like haunted objects, like if you go to like one of the museums where they have like a haunted doll, haunted necklace, is that that person that's associated with that. So let's say like, you know, in life, my wedding ring, right? And I'm so obsessed, like that wedding ring means so much to me that when I die, I physically attach my spirit to it because I don't want to let go of this life. And so being able to, be able to manifest and haunt the physical world, I have to attach myself to something. So I attach myself to something that has personal meaning and is basically just kind of carrying around that energy. And then the other thing, I don't practice witchcraft and sorcery. I'm no Aleister Crowley, but there are some rituals that you can slice open a baby kitten and get some blood on it and bind a demon to an object. Yeah, so I mean, you could have like
fucking feel.
you could have a good bind, you could have a good binding to an object, and you can have a bad binding to an object. So you have somebody like practicing black magic, doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and next thing you know, you get a little haunted Demas doll, or you got a guy who just really loves life and doesn't want to pass over, and like basically, puts his energy onto a coin or a ring or whatever. That's the best thing I got. I mean, we're no fucking scientists, but if I had to guess, those two things make sense.
Yeah. Steve, what do you think, man?
We basically the same thing. I think what he kind of says. People get
Lazarus
attached to
says it
certain
isn't a
items.
baby kitten though, but I mean, look again. I'm no cultist. I'm just saying.
Just kind of off the cuff. It's got to be a vomit-covered, ectoplasm-covered kitten, dude. We all know.
Oh, a full-grown cat.
Only get him in San Francisco.
Yeah. Lazarus says full-grown cat, often in relation to the ritual of visibility. This dude knows too much. Person knows too much.
You're
It's
about to get on the
correcting you
rabbit
on
hole.
sacrifice, whatever objects.
Hey, we're gonna jump on his show one of these days soon and answer a bunch of random questions that he has in a bowl made from a human skull. So,
whoa,
that in
nice.
itself might be some kind of ritual. We don't know.
That's pretty
but we're
tight
gonna roll the
because
dice.
that's actually a dream of mine is to have a skull. But anyway,
well,
it's weird. Yeah, Anyway, so back to what Ali said. I
Yeah.
believe that certain people get attached to certain items because, yeah, like they're obsessed to
Yep.
it. They become some kind of way linked to that. But my question, we should add on to Ali's. So
Mhm.
we'll have to go back to Preston. What would be your object that you would haunt?
Well, okay, real quick, let me piggyback on what you guys said, and then we'll
Bet.
have that compound question. So, Ali, I think it has a lot to do with what's called stone tape theory, which is kind of very much what Preston and Stephen were alluding to. It's where we believe that spirits and ghosts often and hauntings are very similar to music that gets recorded on like an old cassette tape or a VHS tape. And ask your dad what those are if you don't know. Allie, by the way, is Dobbs' daughter, so big shout out to Allie
I'm gonna
and
say they're
Big
like right
Dobbs
over
and
here.
Hill. Yeah, you're right. Yes,
Right
he's
here,
got a huge collection.
bunch over here.
Well, I say that because it's like a cassette tape or a VHS tape, and the fact that sometimes like mental impressions are believed to be projected in a form of like energy, and then it can be stamped or imprinted on something physically, like or physical objects like a doll or a ball or whatever you guys want to haunt after you go, and even like actual places during certain emotional or traumatic events like a murder or like a fit of rage. So it's almost like your feelings or energy can be recorded into like a Ouija board or something like that, or old hotels. And then your apparition or disembodied voice gets kind of caught like in a replay. And that's why a lot of times people say, and every night at 3:30 a.m., the ghost of the butcher can be seen walking from one room to the other over and over. It's
Just
almost
meat
like that.
swinging.
Right. That spirit kind of gets caught up in this like recording and gets embedded, that energy gets embedded into the object or the hallway or the house or whatever. And then this continues to kind of echo and echo and echo. So we need to kind of dive into hauntings one of these days too. But I think that's kind of, the answer is that old stone tape theory. So something worth Googling too if you want to jump down a deeper rabbit hole, because I just kind of gave you the spark notes on it. So, all right,
Hell
Presto, if
yeah.
you could haunt one item, what were you going to haunt?
So I would want to haunt something that I know that's going to get passed down from generation to generation. So
Your
the-
Krampus
the-
smut book.
yeah, the boy knows how important the Big John Wiener dog tags are. So if I could haunt one thing, it'd be the Big John Wiener dog
choice.
tags, because I know that when I pass, Blake's going to take it and wear them. And that way I could Obi-Wan Kenobi his ass and just show up and be like, son, dumb is what you're born with. Stupid is how you use it. And you're being fucking stupid. And then, boop, vanish. And just fucking troll him for the rest of his life. So,
Wow.
Force
which
vanish.
is Big John Wiener
Yeah.
wisdom right there. He used to tell me that shit all the time when I was growing up as a kid. Like, I forget to turn in an assignment or I do something stupid at school. He'd be like, son, dumb is what you're born with. Stupid is how you use it. And you're being fucking stupid right now. Like, oh,
And then he
thanks,
just
Dad.
force vanishes. Where'd you go,
Yeah.
Dad?
Yeah.
I'm in the other room. Give me a beer.
Yeah, dude, my dad's sage advice was one time I saw two guys holding hands and I was like 7 or 8 and I was like, Dad, those guys are holding hands, and he's like, yeah, they're gay. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, it means they just want to be together as a couple. And I'm like, I don't know, Dad. And he's like, look, you don't have to approve of it right now, but you have to learn how to accept it. And once you accept something, after you know more about it, you can learn to approve it. And I'm just like, oh shit, that's deep.
Yeah, that's tight, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know what I would haunt, dude. Um, my autographed vinyl from Robert England and Heather Langenkamp, maybe. No,
Fuck
I would
yeah.
haunt something bizarre that would be handed down too. And right now, I think it would be our Asquatch Queequeg that Shayla got that's hanging up in the living room,
Oh,
because that thing is so bizarre. If it doesn't get handed down, to do to different generations, it would be in an estate sale, and somebody like Preston or myself or you, Steve, would fucking buy it.
you're
So
like,
one
what
way or
the fuck
another,
is that?
this haunted ass Squatch is going to somebody. Like,
But I
don't think
want you
someone's
to
gonna
like,
throw
I
it
wanted
away.
to like, when you haunt it, like, what are you gonna do with it?
Oh,
like Preston's,
Sean's gonna
he's
show
got-
up like
he's-
Obi-Wan Kenobi, dipping Oreos in whiskey in his underwear, and be like, nah, wouldn't fucking do it, and then disappear.
No, you're like, it's an ass though. You gotta fart. You gotta do some kind of flatulent.
Yeah, I think I'd probably just possess it, and then I'd lean forward and be like, "Son, dumb is what you're born with. Stupid's what you do with it."
Nice.
No, I'd probably make weird like whining noises and like whisper from it. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, this is off subject. So we're building next door in the basement. We're building my son's bedroom, and the basement wall was moving in, so we had to get steel beams. So to redo the framing, there's kind of like a gap. So it's kind of like there's like a, I don't know, like maybe like a 2 foot, 1.5 foot space in between the framing and this giant steel beam. And so the storage closet, you're able to put stuff in that gap. So my buddy and I, as we were finished framing, we were in the whiskey a little bit yesterday, and we decided that we're gonna get a Bluetooth speaker, and I'm gonna put it in that, like when Blake, before he gets home from school, I'm gonna go turn that Bluetooth speaker on. And then it's gonna be hidden behind the wall, so when he's sleeping at night, I could just play like freaky noises and just scare the shit out of this kid. So, yeah.
That's awesome, dude. So when we were in high school, it was like the golden era of Good Charlotte, and Devin and I used to hang out whenever we weren't at Pizza Hut working. Right. Whenever we weren't working at Pizza Hut, like I'd usually go to his house and hang out in his parents' basement with him, and we'd play like, PlayStation and stuff like that. We'd always have some CD going, and this is like in the good old days of hidden tracks on CDs, which you can't really do these days. You didn't know how long the tracks were. You didn't know there was extra tracks. And so we were playing a game one night. The music ended, and we're like probably 20 minutes into gaming in the silence. And all of a sudden you just hear, "Get out. Get out of the house. Go." And like Evan's basement was haunted as shit. Like it was a scary place. And we
It really sounded like some cheesy ass 80s fucking haunted house. Get out.
Yeah, it was just like,
no.
God, it was really fucking cool, man.
That's pretty awesome.
What would you haunt, Steve? What VHS tape would you haunt?
No, I wouldn't haunt a VHS tape, man. I'm just gonna go with since I just thought of this question on the fly, I'm gonna go with what's in my general area that's important to me. It's probably one of my most prized collectibles because it's so rare, and that would have to be the Big Daddy.
No way.
Cast iron. I don't know what the fuck this is. Plaster, whatever the shit
it's like
it is.
A cast iron. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. Look.
Now kiss.
Is yours mint? No pieces broke.
No, mine fell off of Corey's bookshelf, and the cage is bent. Both legs are broken off, and the tip of his drill, I think, is missing. But I'm like, fuck that! Don't throw that away. I'll super glue that shit.
Yeah, mine's mint. I've kept this good for so long. I would haunt this little thing, but it would have to come to life, like fucking Little Soldiers or whatever, Toy Soldiers or whatever, that Toy Story and shit. Yeah, Puppet Master and shit. I mean, come on, we can't.
Speaking of, welcome to 4 hours of Sean and Steven grabbing things that they have on their computer desk. Preston too.
Yeah,
I got that little bobblehead at Tex. I got that bobblehead of Blade from Texas Frightmare Weekend, and it's autographed by Charles Band. And my amazing wife got it for me for the low price of, guess how much money I paid for an autographed Blade bobblehead?
$40.
$10 fucking dollars.
Wow, that's $10.
That's a great one. Yeah, the blade was broken off of it, and the guy's like, because Shayla wanted to get me a Blade bobblehead, and I was like, no, they don't have any. Clearly, they're not on the counter. So she walked up and asked the guy. He's like, well, we got him, but like the knife blade broke off, and you can easily like super glue him back on. And I'm like, I don't really want it. And Shayla goes, how much is it? He's like, I mean, like $20. And she's like, oh. Anyway, it got down to $10. And he's like, this one's autographed too, dude. So you should probably take it for $10. So yeah,
wow.
She scored that for me for $10.
Cool.
But Preston, show us something on your cabinet of curiosities, man. Grab some nerdy thing. I feel bad.
Dude, I just fucking panned the camera around and showed everybody everything that's on there, jackass.
Daddy and Daddy were talking,
Jack.
so
oh my God,
paying attention to you.
Real quick, while he's doing that, we got Lazarus says, yes,
nice.
I am a witch doctor. And says, bring Steven too to the question stuff. I got a few, Steven. My favorite, Frau Gretchen, came from a medieval era grave in Germany. What was he talking about?
Those are his skulls. She's talking about a couple skulls, yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, I want to hear more about that, man. So I would love to get on that episode if you guys would have me on that.
Preston, just pan the camera down to your book of your passwords for all your websites, and we're good.
Yeah, it's definitely right there by his shit.
Right. That's awesome, dude. You got a lot of great signs in there. You got to hang up that new one, buddy. Did you frame that shit yet?
No, that's on my to-do list at work tomorrow, is go over to Michael's on my lunch and buy a frame.
Nice.
So
Oh,
Fuck yeah,
actually,
dude.
shout out to Record Ship. I got a Ash Army of Darkness big ass poster in there. He was
What? That's
I told
rad.
him he should get some more posters in here, and he's like, if people would buy him. So I was like, give me these 2 posters, and then I got that into Wu Tang. Fucking
Hell yeah, dude.
got that shit on from Record Ship. So in Wichita, go check out that record store with Les. He's a good dude.
Yeah, dude. We got a really badass record store called Record Ship here. So, okay. Next question.
Boom.
Matt, our buddy Matt, Agent Stack. Due to the longevity of the show, has it become significantly more difficult to find new cryptids to expose and explore?
Expose.
Yeah, we found the fucking cryptid cannoli cavatappi of New Jersey today, so
yeah,
clearly
That
the
is
well
fucking.
runneth
That
over.
is so good. Actually, you know what? This is actually funny that he writes this today because this morning I went to the wonderful cafe here in town,
Mhm.
Pixelated, the Paranormal Cafe, and
Oh, awesome.
it's awesome paranormal experience. They had a food truck, now they have this cafe going on.
Mhm.
They haven't officially launched it yet with the grand opening or nothing, but they're very excited. They want to have us down. They want to do an on-site recording, an on-site EVP, because
Mhm.
apparently there's some activity in that building that's been reported
bro.
on some of the tenants that have been in there.
Shit,
So
yeah.
shout out to all those people there. I let
Yeah.
them know that we would give them a shout out tonight on live,
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
the food was
Hell
delicious. I had the chupacabra this morning, well, along with
Oh,
Squatch tots. So good.
it's yeah, like you said, all paranormal themed breakfast
$8.
foods.
That was $8, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Get out of here. It's so
fucking
good.
delicious. They have a Bigfoot burrito. They have a chupacabra. I think it's a flatbread if I remember right.
Yeah.
Squatch tots, which are these delicious little sausage cheese ball tater tot things. And yeah. I talked to him a little bit last year, and Steven, I owe you an official thank you for talking to them and bringing that back up. Because you did see them a while back and bring that up, and I do owe you an official thank you for kind of rejuvenating that conversation and getting that going. So yeah, we'll do a
Hell
live
yeah, man.
recording there. That'll be fucking awesome.
They're
I
good
can't wait
people
to do
too.
that. Well, Matt, I wrote.
there's a
ahead.
young girl that was working there, and she said
Mhm.
she had done some podcasting stuff in her high school, and she really enjoyed doing that and stuff. So she's
Mhm.
really excited to be there for that interview process as well and be on a podcast. So shout
We
out
are
to
going to
her.
be
I don't
embarrassed by how much more she knows than we do.
right. So shout out to her. I don't remember her name. I was in the
Okay,
middle
hell
of
yeah,
2
dude.
calls this morning, so I popped by real quick. So
Yeah. You're like, yeah, I
But-
just delivered 2 dead bodies. Better go get a fucking haunted burrito.
yeah, right. They saw my shirt. They're like, oh yeah, mortuary. Oh okay.
Yeah. Fits. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Well, Matt, I wrote you'd think after 7 years it'd be harder. But what's great is there's so much weird shit out there that it never really seems to run dry. The bigger problem I have is that sometimes it's challenging to find, reputable stories and sources that you can prove to be, quote, real versus, cheap creepy pastas and creative writing stories, especially now with like Chat GPT and all that kind of shit. But we also had that infamous I don't know what you call it, a flub, where we did a show about the rake, and I didn't say, yes, I know it's creepypasta at the beginning, and fucking people just went nuts. It's a creepypasta. You're talking about creepypasta. Yeah, it was a slow news day that day, and we thought we'd do a story about it, and fuck me for trying to share a creepypasta.
Yeah, I know.
But there's a lot of
Stand down,
Googling.
people. It's okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of Googling and verifying that goes, far beyond checking the first 2 websites. You got to kind of check and see what kind of carries over, what seems to be legit, what's a common theme, what has been kind of embellished. So, I mean, it gets tough just verifying shit, but I mean, there's still so many weird things out there, and, old websites are always great. State websites, you can really find some fun stuff sometimes, but, I'm not saying that some weeks it's hard to find a topic versus others where, something cool just falls into our lap. But, a tool that I use, it's kind of funny, inside secret here. Being an artist myself, I follow a shit ton of really awesome artists and creators on Instagram. A lot of them happen to be, paranormal artists who draw like Frogman and all sorts of cool shit. So, I mean, it's not uncommon for me to open up Instagram and all of a sudden I see someone's drawing another poster of like famous cryptids across the US. And I'll pinch to zoom on that bad boy, check out the awesome art. And normally there's like 1 or 2 things I haven't heard of, so I throw it in the ever-growing list of topics, and then I get back to it. So I mean, that's a really great tool. A lot of really great artists out there. So I mean, it doesn't hurt, to look at that. But it also doesn't hurt to have a library of like 30 or 40 paranormal books either. So that
Yeah,
being
and
said, we really got to do some more cryptid encounters.
I would say too, like, so we're a show about folklore. If we really want to get down to it, we're deep diving America and the world's folklore. And so you have Bigfoot, you have the wood booger, you have the swamp ape. All of those are basically the same creature, but they're told from a different perspective depending on the area of the country that encounter is happening from. So, if you have like a Polish population that's in America now and they've been here for several years, they're putting their heritage spin on that cryptid, and they're giving you a very different take. And so you would think, well, how many different times can you cover Bigfoot? Well, I mean, every pocket of the country is going to have a different experience and a different take and give it a different name. I mean, there are stories about the Bigfoot War of 1975 that we haven't even touched on yet. I mean, we could cover Bigfoot 10 million
Wait,
times
what?
and still not even get
War
to the
of
tip of the
Bigfoots?
dick of Bigfoot.
Like
And
a
then
war
you
of Bigfoots?
Oh yeah, it took place in Kentucky, like outside in this rural area, and like
Mhm.
these like Bigfoots came out of like the forest and like started like throwing rocks and stabbing each other, and this like family is like the dad's on the porch with the shotgun. Get the fuck off my
Holy
porch!
sh-
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Holy
Like I don't
shit.
think that shotgun's gonna
It
stop
was
it,
some
bud,
trailer
but,
trash Bigfoot drama, dude.
yeah,
It was live PD back in the day.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
those fucking neighbors
so you
again.
start
Like,
going
interesting.
over into Asia, Europe, India, Africa. You have these same encounters with all the same cryptids, but they're just from a different point of view. And I mean, the stories are countless. I mean, we could really spend 30 years covering these topics, and we would never get to the bottom of the barrel because they're just so vast. I think, like Sean said, we come across a lot of stories, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, is this? It could have happened. I want to believe, but I mean, this is pretty batshit
Yeah.
crazy. And then I'm like, fuck it. You know what? We're a folklore podcast. This is just
Yeah.
fucking fun. This is this is
I
a
like
wild
it. I like
ride.
it all.
Give
me
fuck it.
real,
Let's
give
just
me
tell
weird.
a story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Uh,
also fun too. Like we do a deep dive, like a decent dive into like cryptid encounters, and then you think you've wrung out the washcloth enough, and then you share your episode. Then like a week, a month, a year later, another podcast does the same topic, and they drop like 3 or more facts that you missed, or you listen to their episode and they don't put in like 2 or 3 things that and you're like, that's cool, man, because we're all doing the same research and we're getting some different answers, but for the most part, most stuff pretty well jives. So that's pretty fun.
Hell yeah.
What do you think, Steve-O?
You guys nailed it on that. I was more interested in your guys' take on what Stack said. What level of scrutiny lends to credibility?
Man, to me, credibility. I feel like there's more credibility in all your classic store. Jesus, another drink of this beer. Maybe that's my problem. I feel like you get more credibility out of your stories that were written back in like the 50s and 60s. Your Mothman, your Flatwoods Monster, stuff like that. Because back then, you also had people who were terrified of being scrutinized for seeing little green men and big furry guys running around their backyards.
Yep.
So I feel like when people came forward, either they were batshit crazy or they were like, fuck it, the world has to know. So to me, credibility. Go ahead.
And back then, you didn't have the imagination we have now. We're fucked. Like let's like everyone
Right.
out there, everyone knows it. But back then, like there wasn't, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of people didn't digest all the comics and the science fiction, and you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these cases we've talked about, they'll be like, they'll never say like, oh yeah, I was a believer. Like I never even thought about this stuff before, and then I seen this. Just it seems, like the older the story is, the more credibility there is to it.
So like Betty and
I
Barney
think
Hill,
that
for
has a lot to do with it.
example. That was a famous UFO case from the late 50s, early 60s at a time when interracial couples, it was not safe to be public like an interracial couple.
Yeah,
So you have a black
that's
man and
true.
a white woman that are
they risk that.
married and they're hiding it and they get abducted by
Yeah.
aliens. They gain nothing by going to the media and reporting their story but they're just like, fuck it, we have to tell people this. And so when you read cases like that and look at the time period from which it came from, wholeheartedly, like that, to me, that's a credible story. I'm going to put more faith in that than, the fire in the sky guy who was just like, I got abducted by Nazis and I saw ships and bald people. And I took some LSD, and it's like, what happened? I don't know. Travis Walton, your story keeps changing, bud. I mean, I like the Hollywood version better because that movie gave me the creeps when I was a fucking kid. But then I like actually deep dive your story, and I'm like, maybe you hit your head on the toilet like Doc Brown, and you just imagine this whole thing. I don't know, like, but you go back a little bit further in time in a decade, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. Or you took LSD and expanded your mind and saw some shit you weren't supposed to see, dude.
Yeah, man, bald heads.
Yep. Yeah, I think that credibility, I mean, I go for newspapers, dude. That's what I look for.
Newspapers.
And I mean, with all these stories, right? Yeah, I got to get that, what do you call that? In the library, you look through the, what's it called? The film.
Rolodex?
No, not the Rolodex. What do you call that shit? You got to go through like the little turny knob thing.
Yeah.
They call it film.
I want to call it hyperfilm, but that's, no, it's called something else. Like hyperfilm.
They just call it
no, it's got I will.
Somebody in chat knows. Come on, Lazarus. You know. Come on, bruh.
It's not called hyperfilm. It's called like no, fuck. Well, we'll answer the question. But you just, with everything, you got to suspend your disbelief there for a second, and worst case, these are just really fun, fantastic tales to distract us for a little while and, give you just that little glimmer of hope that maybe one of these, 10,000 stories we share, one of them might just be real. But like Preston says, he's legit, dude.
He's on another level. It's insane. He says he wasn't just an African American. He was an Ethiopian. I bet you the only American Caucasian Ethiopian mixed couple in American history at the time. What are the odds? No shit. So maybe they were targeted.
Yeah.
By the aliens.
I mean, that's the weird thing, Matt and Lazarus both.
Microfilm.
You hear a story, microfiche. That's what it was. Stack nailed it.
Nice.
Kevin,
and
you're now fired from being executive producer. We replace you with Lazarus
I haven't seen him say shit the whole time.
He's like,
we can have a couple.
He's like Joe. He's like Joe Rogan's Jamie. Like, a lot of times Joe just like talks off the cusp, and Jamie's like, "Let me Google it real quick." Like, all we need is like Lazarus just hiding out in the comments, just fact checking us because we don't fucking fact check.
It's amazing,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So, but to kind of go back and circle back to Matt's question about, credibility, this is the really dangerous, slippery slope you have is like, I'm 6 or 10 years old, whatever. And I'm reading a book in the grade school library about Betty and Barney Hill. And I'm just like, gee, golly, mister, they got abducted by aliens. And then you fast forward 30 years later, and we've had so much time to dig into this shit, and you're like, no, he wasn't just a black man, he was Ethiopian. And, this, that, and the other, and the government was in on it, and all this kind of shit. And then Roswell, it's like, no, they weren't aliens, son. They were, hydroceph people that had their eyeballs cut off and, sunglass lenses taped to their face. And we dropped them from 30,000 feet just to see what would happen. And all these crazy stories have, if nothing else, just gotten crazier. And, Flatwoods Monster, was it a military experiment? It's just fucking crazy. So that's the other side of the coin is like, I just wanted to kind of dip my toes in, get about knee deep. And then when you fully submerge, you're just like, oh, fuck, everything's terrifying. The government sucks. They're in on it too. And, I'm going to sleep with my eyes open.
Totally sucks. Very true. But check, you're right, man. Totally right.
Well, Matt has a follow-up question. Given that there are generally no shortage of weird things going on in the world, do you prefer researching cryptid encounter episodes over strange news episodes? I said there's nothing better to me personally. There's nothing better than doing this great creepy monster or cryptid deep dive. So my answer is going to be cryptid encounter episodes. But sometimes, Matt, the week gets away from you. It's 45 minutes till recording time, and you're just like, fuck it. They're getting news stories today, folks.
Yep. That's how the sausage is made.
We're
not prepared, so we're going to talk about the news.
Yeah. Yep. When there's a 3-parter, we've been writing that thing for weeks. When there's a news story, one of us got off work late or forgot.
Yeah. That's when I promised Sean I'd write an episode, and then I'm like, oh, hey, remember I promised you I'd have that episode done? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
and he's like, all right, news it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Steve, what do you think, man? What do you enjoy doing more? Do you like the deep dives, the news stories, or what?
I prefer the ones where we do like kind of deep dives and we do the voices and stuff,
Yeah.
and each
Yep.
get the lines. That's the where it keeps me engaged. That type of
Yep.
thing. So yeah, that's the one I like. But the cryptid episodes are really cool too.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree.
Hell yeah! Appreciate the
Fuck
question,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, dude. And then he follows that
Everybody.
up with he just wants to throw in a thank you for diving into his hometown legend of the Charman back on that listener submission episode. So fuck yeah, the Charman story is fucking bonkers.
Fuck yeah!
And if you don't know what the Charman is, folks, start back at episode 0 and work your way up till you find it. Because I
You
don't know
wanna
what episode it was.
you want to know what's crazy?
Huh.
Is you may be getting a little return of him on the big screen because Charman is a registered character in the movie Beetlejuice. He's next to
Oh wow,
Adam,
yeah.
played by Mr. Baldwin. He says, "You want a cigarette?" "No, thank you. I'm trying to cut down myself." That's him. That's Charman. Douglas Turner is who played
Yep.
him.
Yep.
And yeah, so they have officially announced a Beetlejuice 2 with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
amazing Janet Ortega,
Ortega?
as what's her name's
Lydia
Lydia's
Dietz'
daughter. Yeah. And so Michael Keaton's in, and I'm assuming the
Yeah.
other two will be as well. So let's
Fuck yeah,
go.
man.
So yeah,
That'll
so
be awesome.
hopefully they bring back Charman. That'd be so awesome, man. Because
Yep.
the whole line is just so good. Trying to cut
The
down
only thing that
myself.
sucks, yeah, Sylvia Sidney will not be there to play the character that kind of lets everybody in and out of limbo or whatever it was, the
Oh,
old
I had a
lady.
little accident myself. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. She was the
Yeah.
one who also played the grandma in Mars Attacks that my grandma was the double for.
No shit.
Yeah, man, Sylvia Sidney. Yep.
That's awesome.
Well, we're coming up on the hour 20-minute marker, folks. What do you say we sign out of this thing with another listener story? Speaking of cryptids. So this one came to me on Instagram, actually. I had a guy reach out to me about some artwork, wondering if I'd ever done any Mothman artwork. And with that, we talked about the podcast. He's a listener. And I just shot the same response I shoot to anybody who says, by the way, I listened to your show. You got any weird stories you want to share with me that I can read on the show? So this this story comes from Sven.
What a great name.
He says, well, that's a coincidence, as I'm currently listening to episode 200, so listening to a listener story episode while I ask you about a listener story. Truth be told, I still don't have much of an explanation, and I've overanalyzed the shit out of it. But there was this one time on my way home from work, out near the Hollis Crossroads in Alabama. It was about a solid 14 to 16 mile drive on a 2-lane road between that area and the town I'm in now. It's one of those dark-ass roads, like only illuminated by your headlights or 1 or 2 cars you pass. Anyways, I left work after closing the store at 10 p.m. On my way home, about halfway through the drive. The road kind of goes down a grade a bit before going around a curve, where the left side of the road opens up into a larger field, and the right side is moderately wooded. As I was coming out of the curve, I saw a small light off in the distance, where there wasn't normally a light. So I was kind of pulling my inner strength into my looking balls to see what it was. I love that, the looking balls. Before I could process what I was seeing, it looked like a dog. But at the moment, it didn't look like a dog. I noticed it had longer limbs than most dogs I know, actually larger all around. I have a Great Pyrenees, and it was a medium-sized dog compared to that thing. But that's not what got me. It had like backward-facing knees. It was on all fours, but it wasn't normal. You know Professor Lupin from Harry Potter when he turns into a werewolf? Yeah, it looks something like some form of that. Like
Did the
brownish
legs walk
fur.
like in that movie The Arrival with Charlie Sheen?
Yeah, it's fucked. I know what you're talking about.
Is that what he's talking
Yeah,
about?
backward-facing knees.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. So they could jump better?
Maybe. Shit.
Yeah.
However, I could see muscle tone to a point. I ain't trying to catch that fade. Anyway, it crossed the road. It seemed, hang on a second, let me back up here. It looked like it had some, like brownish, okay, it looked like it had brownish fur. However, I could see muscle tone to a point. I ain't trying to catch that fade. Anyway, across the road, it
Let's
was
go.
in what seemed to be just 3 steps. and jumped off the side down the fielded area. It didn't move like anything I've ever seen, and I watched Animal Planet. They don't cover any of that. Oh yeah, I don't know if it was headlights reflecting on its eyes or what, but it had a yellow hue. So about 2 years ago was the first time I ever heard the mention of dogmen. I'm not saying it was a dogman, but yeah, wild. I still don't know what it was, but I can't make rational sense out of it. I don't know what I saw, but I know I saw something that still baffles me today. Oh yeah, it's not really paranormal, but yeah, that should have gone at the very beginning of the story. I disagree, dude. Fucking werewolves are paranormal, so you made the cut, buddy. Sven, thanks for sending that in, dude, and thanks for being a listener, and thank
That's
all of
awesome.
you guys for being listeners. It's fantastic, but
And that'd be terrifying as fuck.
yeah, dude, yeah, I don't even know.
Just
And
a little bit.
and when you drive those old roads, like you know what lights are supposed to be there, who has the back porch light on, stuff like that. So I can kind of understand, like, wait, that's not there. It's like me late at night playing video games and I hear a noise and I'm like, that's not a normal noise that this house makes. Well, guys, I say we draw the line
Spooky.
there.
Yeah, sounds
And
good.
call it for this episode, and we will continue on next episode. But for now, Steve, you got anything to plug, buddy?
Not really. Just same old things. I mean, not really anything.
Hey, fair. Sometimes
Yeah.
no news is good news, man.
Right? Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for jumping back in with us, man.
Thanks
I hope
for
you
having
can-
me on. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you
I
ain't
like
never
the live
gone, buddy.
interaction. It's a lot of fun.
It's pretty
shout
cool,
out to
huh?
shout out to the people keeping the chat live. Yeah, that's who I'll shout out. Lazarus, Kevin, Stack. Who was in there? Pixie was in there.
And Kevin
Some other people in there.
building Legos. Instead of paying attention
Kevin's
to the
building
show.
Legos. John and Leslie were watching. Everybody else, Katie was watching, but she didn't chat. Lame.
Oh, good, man. I know.
But yeah, so shout out to all those people. That's really cool. I've been wanting to do this live stuff for a while. I was telling these guys we should have been doing that a long time ago. So I'm glad they finally made the move to it. That is the move. That's the way. Preston, you look really good with the ghost outlines and shit. That looks tight, man. I'm really proud of your setup you got going on too. So
Yeah, it's a setup that keeps evolving too. Like for a minute, the first one is pretty bare bones, and the second one, he's like, "Hey, I can get these moving GIFs on the side." Then he's like, "Check out this frame," and just keeps building and building and building. And then we
He's
met
learning.
Lazarus. Yeah, we met Lazarus and did our recording with him, and he's got like animations on screen, and Preston's just like, "Well, fuck me, I got to figure out how to do that now."
Yeah, so Lazarus,
Hell yeah.
we're gonna have to email back and forth, and you're gonna have to give me
no,
the
that's
hookup.
that's
Yep.
the best thing about creating on anything on any platform, YouTube, and when creators get together and actually learn from each other and shit.
That's what it should
Oh,
be, man.
my
It's the way
son's
it
on the
should.
chat. He says I look
Oh
nice.
no!
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Blake?
What up, Blake?
Awesome.
Long time, buddy.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, Blake's a little badass, and so is Addie. Tell them
Hey.
hi for us, Preston. Tell them the boys what's up.
Son, dumb is what you're born with. Stupid's how to use it. Get your ass to bed.
How old is he now? 17, 18?
13 going on 17. Shit.
Oh man, 13. Got a teenager, bro.
Yep, most definitely. Yeah, Steve, I'm glad you're back, man. The seat's still yours, buddy, so you're welcome back always and every time and any time, man. So
Cool, man. Well, just
try
keep
to
sending me
get back.
invites and let me know what the episode's about,
Yeah.
and I'll try to get on.
Most definitely,
With it being summer, it does get kind of hot in here, but I'm gonna try to do a fan, and then hopefully you can edit out the noise, because I'm pretty sure.
Try to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm hoping we get back on a little bit more regular scheduled recording. We want to try to do these like Monday nights or something like that. But this, I call it this semester because that's what it is. With Shayla being in nursing school, a lot of study nights. I would cook for him and do stuff like that. So we kind of recorded when we can. But also, I want to give a big shout out to my wife and all of her fellow classmates for passing semester 2 of nursing school. It was quite the bear cat, and they all
What a feat.
I know, right? They did phenomenal. So super proud of her and all of them. So Well, if you're on the social medias, please give us a follow on the Instagrams at PXL Paranormal, on Facebook, the Pixelated Paranormal Podcast. If you got a story you want to share with us, because we'd love to do more listener story episodes, please send your stories to pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. You can send those over and we can share those. Give us your name. Say you want to stay anonymous. It doesn't matter to us. We just want to share those stories. Also, we've got our Google Voice. You can leave us a message at 913-662-3144. Hit us up. We'd love to hear your voices. Preston, talk to me about YouTube, buddy. What do you think?
Dude, we're up to like 260 subscribers, so we gained like 2 since last time we recorded. So fuck yeah.
How many? 258?
260. We were 258 last time.
Oh, shit. Okay, we did.
Net gain
We
of
did.
2,
dude.
brother. Net gain of 2. So
Net gain.
Needle's moving, baby. The needle's moving.
needle's
That's all that
moving.
matters.
Needle's moving. That's all that matters.
Hell yeah.
Look, folks.
Hell yeah. And I'll pick.
You're probably watching this live, looking at all these bearded faces, and you're like, how in the sweet baby Jesus do they make everything look that good? Well, this just didn't happen overnight. No. 7 years, I, Sean, and Steve have been lathering Big Dobbs Beard Balm in our beard. And if you look at this luscious man-made, not only does it smell good, but it's soft, it's silky, it glistens in the sun. And if you want to have a beard like that, it's going to take work. It's going to take effort. So you need to do yourself a favor. You need to get on your phone, get on your computer, and go over to BigDobbsBeardBalm.com and use promo code Sunday promo code PXLPARA for 20% off your order. I myself love Bay Rum. I love, citrus, mint, hell, I love them all. Sweet tobacco, yeah. Get it all. Get it at Dobbs.
Hell yeah. I'm doing Bay Rum today as well, man. Shit, yeah. And if you're in the Wichita area,
need some new stuff.
hell yeah, dude.
I have a little left of my mint.
Mint. It's mint. Also in the Wichita area, please stop by and see our dear friend Leslie and the rest of the gang over at CD Trade Post, Pawnee, and Seneca. And also look up the Paranormal.Cafe and the Paranormal Egg Experience. Those are our friends over. They got a food truck and now a brick and mortar that they're rocking and rolling in. So we're super stoked for them. Fuck yeah.
Let's go.
Cool. All right, well, I'm going to raise up this glass. I got a little bit of this 2016 Bigfoot barley wine. Preston's drinking the same thing. This was from the same year that our show started, so happy 7-year anniversary. Steven, you're sucking back Ozark Trail?
Kroger. What?
Okay. Bottle of water. Yeah, yep. Steven's drinking responsibly this evening.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, so we finish this bad boy off. Cheers to the weird shit in the world knows of us. I'd love to talk about it.
And stay spooky and stay on the paranormal highway.
Drink plenty of water. It's hot out there.
The cast at Pixelated Paranormal would like to thank you for listening to this week's episode. Pixelated Paranormal is here to tell you tales of the fantastical, the strange, the unknown. Tales that will move you a little further down the paranormal highway. If you'd like to share your own listener story, we would love to hear it. Email us at pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. Again, that's pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. We'd really love to hear from you. Again, thanks for listening to this week's episode of Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.